haven't liked or subscribed, you're going to be joking me.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Fans View podcast. No important guests this week, no celebrities. I just have this sexy beast, the fight doctor, Carlo Perruzza, MMA. He's going to join me. We're going to talk a little bit of UFC Noche from this past weekend, and we're going to look in the future of the UFC. First things first, Carlo Perruzza, MMA. How you doing, brother?
Very good, Chica. Thank you for having me. It was Fans View. Excited to be back on here. Obviously, big weekend of fights going on down Las Vegas, UFC Noche. A card that was really special, not just from the competition, but, the first time ever. Any sort of combat sport event in the Sphere. Nothing like that before. Dana White was really teasing it for months and months, being like, this is a one and done. We're never going to do this again. The amount of money in production, I think I've heard it was over $200 million or $20 million, something crazy in production. And what was cool about it was the first time, like obviously when you watch any sort of UFC show, you have some great high level competition, you watch some great fights, but like they did it where you had more than that at this one. Before every single main card fight, they played a different chapter of like a movie. And then based on that chapter, I guess was the backdrop that was shown on the Sphere for when the guys were fighting. I think it looked cool on TV. I could only imagine that was probably 10 million times better to be there in person. I think Dana alludes to that a little bit. But, I think that was one of those things where if you were there, your mind was probably blown. I mean, I think it looked cool on TV. I could definitely see how amazing it was. But definitely a really big undertaking by the UFC. And kind of crazy, they announced it, and then they also announced that Canelo Alvarez was fighting in Vegas at the same time. Create a lot of competition. Dana's really mad. I think they're really mad with MGM because MGM, allowed that fight to happen in that building. Right. And, there's a lot of stuff going on with that right now. But, overall, I think the UFC did a really wonderful job. And, I don't know, Dana claims that he'll never be back there again. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I know, like you said, Dana has been talking about for months. Enjoy this night, because it's never going to happen again. Just the expenditures, like you said. I saw that number too of 200 million. It being north of that, and I believe every word he says because, like you said, the production the other night was, absolutely second to none. That was incredible on TV. I'm like you. I can only imagine, what it looked like inside the Sphere. Looking at the card, obviously the undercard was what it was. It wasn't anything, crazy to speak of. Maybe one thing stood out to me. I'd love to get your thoughts on it. You had Raul Rosas Jr. Defeat. Yeah, he defeated him. By unanimous decision. He had one hell of a showing, did Rosas. Did you happen to catch that fight? What were your thoughts on it?
No, actually, I didn't watch it live. I watched some highlights on it. Raul Rosas, only 19 years old. I mean, it's pretty crazy. The kid's so young. I believe now we're looking at just had like 4 or 5 fights in the UFC, start off at such a young age. He's looking good. I think he has one loss in there, but he's looking stronger and stronger. Definitely. He fought on the UFC Noche card last year. I think they're going to continue with him. This Mexican heritage, that fan base absolutely loves the kid. I think he's still got a little ways to go. Obviously, he's green, he's 19, but, this kid was fighting. It's crazy, man. He made his debut at the UFC. Was he 17? It just turned 18. Something nuts. I mean, this guy was going on the pro circuit fighting at 16, 17 years old because his mom signed a permission slip for him to compete. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. This shows you the growth and the development of the sport. I mean, that was kind of unheard of maybe 20, 25 years ago, 19-year-old like that getting in the UFC. But he did what he had to do. He put on a dominating performance. He got a big win. I was kind of surprised that they had him there to kick off the night. I mean, I was and I wasn't. Like in a show like that, it's a little different. Might as well start off with a bang, start off with a fan favorite. And he got the job done. The dude that he fought, I believe he was the guy making his debut as well, or maybe not. But that guy's a tough dude. That's no slouch competition. Very good competition, a younger fighter as well. And, Raul was able to get the job done. Another one that I want to talk about on that undercard, Josh Van. He took the fight on very short notice. And, that kid now 4-1 in the UFC. He's absolutely dominating. He's good training partners, good friends with my buddy Michael Aswell, who competed on the Dana White Contender Series a few weeks ago. And, Mike's been telling me, like, this kid's legit, whatever. He's going to be that guy who can go for that title. And, he's been really surprising me. Not really surprising, just impressing me. The guy's a beast. And don't be surprised if we see him on the CarloPerruzzaMMA in the near future.
Oh, yeah, I love that. I love a good plug. And we're definitely going to put that in the description, guys. When you're done watching this podcast, please, if you enjoy these takes, go over to Carlo Perruzza MMA on Instagram. Check out his interviews. I'm not just going to blow smoke up his ass because he's on the show today. Really quality stuff. I really take a lot of inspiration from Carlo. So you guys check that out. If you want to get into the nuts and bolts of mixed martial arts, this is the man to go watch.
Inspirations.
The undercard, like I said, there was nothing really that stood out to me. So for the sake of time, we had 3 decisions. We did have a knockout. Nothing that really stood out though. The first fight I really want to talk about, I want to frame this in a different way. I know what you're gonna say. What was your fight of the night?
Definitely Zulabur versus Esteban, 1 billion, bajillion, batrillion, 5 million, gagillion %. I mean, that fight was absolutely amazing. In that third round there, Esteban had him, going into it. It was either 1-1 or Zulabur could have been up 2-1. I mean, definitely those were the 2 on the judges' scorecards. Esteban ended up winning the fight, but the fact that Esteban got him with a shot. I mean, Zulabur was on Queer Street for about 2 minutes there. He was done. He could hardly stand up. He couldn't even defend himself. Somehow he was able to move. He was able to recover. And before the round was over, I mean, he's landing power shots on Esteban and stunning him. I mean, that fight was absolutely crazy.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, it was definitely fight of the night. There wasn't. Maybe you could say the main event was a close second, but we'll get there. Another thing though, even on this main card, I noticed a lot of decisions. Unfortunately, I say unfortunately, they were good fights, quality fights, but casuals like me want to see people go to sleep. You didn't get that if that's what you were looking for, on this night. The next fight, obviously, I'd love to talk about was another decision. We had Diego Lopez defeating Brian Ortega by unanimous decision, which makes me happy. I'm still not super excited with Brian Ortega after the stunt he pulled at his last fight. I'd love to get your input on that, but
what did you do at the last fight?
He pulled out super like night of. Gosh, I'm having a brain fart right now. I can't remember.
Dan Ige stuck up. Yeah, but what happens, man? If you're not all right there mentally, physically, you can't fight. I mean, this isn't like baseball. But, he did come to fight. They did it at Noche. Diego Lopez is a beast, man. I mean, Brian Ortega's no slouch. Lopez showed in there and dominated. That's a huge coming out party for Diego Lopez. I feel like he was the type of guy that he's been on the rise for so long. And, last year he really showed everyone, hey, guys, Diego Lopez is here to fight. He can, he can keep up with everybody. And I think he's a wonderful fighter. I think the sky's the limit there. I don't know if you saw, there's this reel on YouTube, but and it's all over social media. Ortega's trying to leave, and some idiot fan starts yelling, "This is why Tracy Cortez left you," and all this stuff. And he broke away from the security and went up to the fan and had to be restrained. I was like, these guys are professional fighters, time, place, I mean, thankfully Ortega didn't hit the guy or anything, but it shows you how stupid some of these fans are.
I'll tell you what, man, you put a little alcohol in folks, and they just lose their damn minds.
I think they're a fighter.
Oh, they'll be a fighter. They're not going to be on the good side of it. They'll be a fighter. Matter of fact, if he would have fought that fan, it might have looked like the next fight that we're going to talk about, because the next fight was an ass whooping from bell to bell, in my opinion. We had Valentina Shevchenko fighting, Alexa Grasso, trying to regain her championship. the women's flyweight title. That is, Bullet wins it by unanimous. What did you think of this fight? I think it was pretty one-sided, in my opinion, but I'd love to hear yours.
So I definitely agree. Valentina Shevchenko definitely dominated the contest, but it was an interesting one because Valentina would be like winning, and then like I think 3 or 4 times in the fight, Alexa out of nowhere had an armbar locked in, had this sort of choke. She had her moments. They weren't much, but a couple of times it was like, oh, did she get it? Did she get her? Valentina's just such a dog. She's so durable. She's so smart. That's the thing with Valentina. It's like, she's 36-year-old, but the fighting IQ that she has is unbelievable. She is such a smart fighter. She was an underdog in that contest. Here's my thing going into it. It was so close. That is definitely a pick 'em fight. They have, Alexa finished her the first time. Second time, I think Valentina got robbed, to be honest with you. I think she won the contest. And I was like, you know what? There's no way going into it. Like what I was thinking, there's no way. How does Valentina lose 3 straight times? Like you can't beat Valentina's 3 straight times. Yeah, she's a little older, but she's still Valentina Shevchenko. I don't know how many fights she'll have left. I think she's starting to show it a little bit. I mean, she looked pretty good in that contest, but even before she fought Alexa, she fought Talia Santos, and I think Valentina got lucky in that contest because I think Talia, and a lot of people think Talia kind of got robbed. I don't know how much longer she'll be around. I think hopefully we can still get another 2 to 3 years from her, but hopefully she can make another run. I mean, I think she's still talented, but Father Time definitely catches up with everybody.
Yeah, unfortunately, he is undefeated. And I just want to say, of course, Shevchenko dominated that fight the other night, but that's no disrespect to Alexa Grasso, who has worked her ass off to get where she is and was a formidable opponent. She deserved to be in that cage. Yeah, she deserved to be in that cage Saturday night. It's like you said, it's hard to beat her 3 times, and it just wasn't her night, unfortunately.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see a 4th one because Grasso's won. I think it could happen.
Absolutely. And speaking of Father Time being undefeated, unfortunately, he's the only undefeated man we're going to be talking about right now, because as all good things must come to an end, the curtain's closed on the Sugar Show. It hurts my heart. The fight doctor, I want you guys to know, he called this before the fight even happened. He told me it was going to happen. Merab defeats Sean O'Malley. Unanimous decision. Unanimous is kind of an understatement. It felt like Merab was toying with his, playing with his food at some points in that fight. It hurts my heart. I love the showman that Sean O'Malley is. I love everything you hear. How can I put this? When you look at Sean O'Malley, at least in my opinion, when I first looked at Sean O'Malley, I was like, oh, here's this little young punk, thinks, his shit doesn't stink. He's the baddest man on the planet. And then you start to read stories. You start to, see the UFC embedded, videos, and you find out, no, this kid worked his ass off to get where he is. He's not just some asshole with multicolored hair. Like that's a hard-working man, that really busted his ass to get where he is. And I hate it for him, but unfortunately, he just wasn't the better man Saturday night.
So coming into the contest, technically, Sean O'Malley has suffered a loss because he lost to Marlon Chito Vera a few years ago, whether it be a stoppage because of injury, but whatever, regardless on how you want to categorize that. Going into it, it was simple. Sean has the power. Sean has that striking. Sean is one of the best strikers we have ever seen in the UFC. Merab's grappling is unbelievable. It is a style that is weird. It's unorthodox. It's hard to train for. A lot of people don't know how to prep for it. They see it. They don't know what to do. And I think that happened here. In that first couple of minutes, O'Malley was doing a good job there. He was kind of going in and out a little bit. He was staying back. He was getting shots off. He was showing the striking. He didn't actually land, but he threw a couple nice kicks. And ooh, that could be dangerous here. Merab goes in to shoot it on him about 2.5, 3 minutes into the contest. And briefly, Sean was stuffing it. I was like, uh-oh, this is going to decide the fight. And then a few seconds later, Merab gets him down very easy. And I was just watching. I'm like, that's too easy. That is too easy for Merab. And, it just continued and continued and continued and continued, to the point. He's got him down. Rob's wailing on him. He's just yelling at Sean. He's yelling at Tim Welch. That was a weird. First off, to start out that contest too, Marab's getting yelled at because Tim Welch and Marab are yelling at each other. Tim Welch got called with overcoaching. I didn't even know. Listen, I watched a lot of fights and did not know that was a thing. Like, that was crazy to see that. So that was interesting. But Marab absolutely dominated. But I got a little worried. I'm not worried. Like, in that last 2 minutes, Sean caught him. Sean hit him. Sean hurt him with that liver kick. And I was like, oh, Sean might get him. Sean might get him. But I just didn't think he had that killer instinct left. I think he was tired. Now we find out, from Sean, he's going in for surgery. He hurt himself before the fight. He has to have surgery. So was he in 100%? Who knows? Is he saying? Who knows? But could have that factored in? Maybe. But you know what? Merab Dvalishvili is the champion for a reason. I mean, he's an outstanding combatant. I think he's going to take on now Umar Nurmagomedov. That's going to be the fight. And that is, oh my goodness, I don't know who's going.
Yeah.
My thing is, I think Umar's the only one who can beat Merab, in my opinion. And if Umar can beat Merab, right now in that division, they can beat Umar. Like, that style. I mean, that's a Dagestanian style. I mean, that's Khabib's cousin. I mean, no one's really been able to figure that out because they monopolize it. I mean, the Dagestanians monopolize that style. It's crazy. And the only place in America that has them is American Kickboxing Academy. So I definitely think that division is going to be exciting. Our boy Malcolm Wellmaker's in that division now.
Oh, so we're getting to Malcolm. Don't think I'm letting you get off this stream without talking about our boy. What do you think is next for Sean? Obviously, like you said, he's going to go away for a while. He's going to get healthy. What do you see in his future? Obviously, you can't put yourself in his mindset because some fighters in the past have been very dominant, and we're gonna strike Cheeto from the record book right now. As far as like a clean loss, the first one that Sean's really dealt with is going to be from Saturday night. You saw somebody like Ronda. I think she was incredibly dominant, comparable to Sean O'Malley, and then she lost, and it felt like the wheels came off of it. Do you expect something like that out of Sean, or do you think he can rebound from this?
Well, the thing with Ronda Rousey, she kind of got exposed, her chin a little bit there. I mean, the way Sean lost, the way that Ronda was losing, I mean, Ronda got her head basically kicked off by Holly Holm. I mean, and then the contest after, I think, a return contest against Amanda Nunes, that did not go well for Miss Rousey. It just explained the game, man, that she can't hang with the strikers. It was just something her game lacks so much that, she would get picked apart at it. And I think with Sean, he does have good jiu-jitsu. I don't know really though. Sean is a great striker, but I don't think Sean is a fully complete mixed martial artist. I mean, he has a takedown defense. He has some BJJ, but he is not 100% complete in both elements. Striking, yes, but when it comes to grappling and stuff, it is a weakness. It's a hole. He might have been hurt. Definitely did not go into his favor. When he comes back, he said the other day it's probably going to be 9 months to a year at least till he fights again. So we'll see what the landscape is like in that division. I don't think he deserves a title shot when he comes right back. He only defended the strap one time. He got dominated. That doesn't deserve a title shot, in my opinion. They're going to book him against this fun, exciting fight. I mean, they'll give him somebody in the top 5 probably to make a return. If he wins that one, he'll get the title shot. I mean, he's a money-making machine. Honestly, he will get the title shot. That guy makes the UFC so much money. But it'll definitely be interesting.
Let me just throw a dream scenario out there. He comes back in a year. Sean's feeling healthy. I see that smile. Because you know where I'm going. Because we're gonna pivot to it.
Too early, but I know where you're going.
I know it's too early, but can a guy just dream? Can you imagine? Sean's got to come back. Who we're gonna put him in the ring with? There's this upstart kid out of Augusta, Georgia. Maybe he's already got a fight under his belt. I don't know, Uncle Dana.
It's
I don't
not going to
know.
happen in a year, but but it's definitely a fight
No.
that could happen. Malcolm Wellmaker, Malcolm's got to get himself in the top 15. Hopefully he does fight. I mean, he should. He should fight this year. I'd be surprised if he didn't. I mean, he definitely should. I'm hoping Malcolm fights twice this year. I would love that. So, he can go into 25, already 2-0 potentially in the UFC. Malcolm's a guy with, I think what's interesting about Malcolm, he's got that unique ability to knock people out cold.
Oh, he showed that.
Oh, he definitely showed that against Mr. Bramhall. But, there's a difference. You can go out there and you can win 3 fights in a row and you can grind them out. But if you can go out there and land 3 performance of the night bonuses, gain 3 knockouts in a row, that is going to even speed him up even more. So, I think by next year, I think he could towards the end of next year, depending on how active he is. I think he could start cracking that ranking. But, thing with Sean's going to come back probably ranked 2 or 3. It's going to take 2-3 years for that to push out.
For sure. I'm being facetious when I say, Sean O'Malley versus Malcolm Wellmaker when he comes back. Down the road, I'd love to see that fight. Don't get me wrong. But yeah. And honestly, yeah. I think Malcolm's got a bright future ahead of him. So I think it may be in the cards down the road, but obviously it's not something. But yeah, let's dive into that a little bit. I mean, I know you're never gonna take your unbiased journalism hat off, but just for a moment, man, can we just talk about how impressive Malcolm Wellmaker was on Dana White's Contender Series? When you leave Dana speechless, you're doing something. That was impressive.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he did a wonderful job there. For the fight, he told me what the game plan was, and I mean, he stuck right to it. He didn't want to rush, he didn't want to pressure, he wanted to do a little bit of feeling out process because he wanted to start setting up the jab. Bramhold's a guy who's known to throw a lot of volume. Bramhold was doing a good job in that first 45 seconds. Malcolm started landing the jab, and after the second jab, Bramhold's face was completely red. And I asked Malcolm, I was like, "What? Are you surprised you didn't finish him?" He's like, "Dude, I kind of got worried that the jab wasn't working there because, I mean, the first one was hard and the second one was perfect." And I'm like, what's going on here? And then, that finishing sequence was kind of crazy. Malcolm was kind of going back towards the fence. Bramhold's pushing forward. Bramhold goes to do a flurry. Malcolm last second stance change, kind of that fadeaway 3, the right hook, similar to how O'Malley won the belt over Aljamain Sterling. It was the exact same move from the exact same position, and boom, knockout. Cool. Such a hard move. It's so difficult to land that. You're off balance, and he made it look easy. And, I think Bramhold's a tough guy. I really do. Definitely Malcolm was better that night. Malcolm probably the better fighter. And, hey, he went, like Dana said, when you come on the the Contender Series, you try to do what you just did.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I mean, couldn't have been a better performance. We're so proud of Malcolm here at the Fans View podcast. Obviously, he was on one of our very early shows, and hopefully he'll be on again in the future to tell us about that fight. Right now, he's having to deal with a little bit of superstardom. He is the celebrity of Augusta, Georgia, the pride of Augusta, Georgia, and rightfully so. I think it's safe to say, as impressive as a fighter that Malcolm is, he's an even better human being. So, God bless him. He deserves every single thing that he's gonna get. And I'll stop glazing over Malcolm. I love that kid. He's such a good human being. I can't say enough good things about him. But that brings us. We're gonna bring this thing home because the fight doctor's got some appointments to get to. UFC Noche. Mr. Dana White announced the card for UFC 309 and MSG, and would you take a look at that? Mr. John Jones and Stipe Miocic are finally going to mix it up.
No, that's
disclaimer, if John doesn't fuck it up. So let me lead with this. ESPN, UFC 309, New York City, Madison Square Garden, Stipe Miocic is in the cage. Is John Jones standing across from him?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, listen, man, Jones, we can't really control what these guys do outside of the octagon, or I mean, we can't even control what they do in the octagon, but I'm hopefully he's got his stuff figured out. Obviously, he's had some demons along the way. He's got himself in some trouble. Hopefully, his head's on straight. He hasn't done anything fairly recent, so I guess that's a good sign. But, yeah, I think he'll be there. I think that's a huge fight for him. I think there's a good chance this is it for John Jones. I mean, I think he could retire after this contest. He's fighting in New York. You don't need to fight anywhere else. I mean, listen, you don't need to fight Tom Aspinall. You don't need to fight Alex Pereira. It's everything for those guys to gain and everything for John Jones to lose. He has cleared out a division. He has done everything in the sport. And he has so many records. He is the greatest of all time. I don't really care if people out there, no, he's not. Blah, blah. I could care less. I am all about Dana for standing up and saying he is the greatest of all time, because John Jones is the greatest of all time. It's not even close. I think it's a huge fight for John Jones. It's a legacy fight. At that time frame when Jones was dominating, you also had Stipe, who, in my opinion right now, Stipe is the best UFC heavyweight ever for what he's done in the UFC. Now, if Francis Ngannou would have stayed more, there's a chance Francis could surpass him. Sure, but, they were 1-1. Francis didn't have enough title defenses. That's a huge legacy fight for me. Yeah, they're both older now, but still, it needs to happen. For history, that contest needs to happen. I don't know. That's what I want to see. If he wins, does he fight Tom Aspinall? Maybe, because he is. I do think it is kind of ridiculous that Tom Aspinall's defending an interim title at heavyweight. That's not a real title. That's not, in my opinion, that's not a title. That's stupid. But, it is what it is. Dana has said next time Jones is for sure. Whoever the winner of that is getting, Aspinall. So they're going to have to figure it out. Either Jones will retire, they vacate the strap, Tom gets the full one, or they fight. Now, when it comes to, if I'm worried about John Jones losing, I'm worried about Tom Aspinall potential. I'm not saying that I think Tom's going to beat John, but the way Tom's fights, his style, his size, his attributes, definitely would be a tough fight. Alex Pereira, on the other hand, I think John Jones beats Alex Pereira just like he beat Cyril Gane. I think it's quick. I think if he gets him on the ground, Alex is going to know what to do. Now, granted, Alex has crazy power, kickboxer, he can knock you out, kicks, punches, very dangerous opponent. But, I'm excited to see John Jones fight in New York. As a John Jones fan, my favorite fighter ever. Not the journalist talking right now. I want to see John Jones retire. He's done enough. That's what I want to see. But, the man, he'll make his own decisions.
Is there anything else? I don't know if you've seen the fight card. I'm sure you have. Is there anything else as we wrap this up that excites you on that card? Or is it a one fight card for you? As far as your fandom, aside from the journalistic point of view.
Oh, no.
Because obviously, journalistically.
Charles
yeah.
Oliveira, are you kidding me? That fight's a banger. I think that's
against
a great fight.
Chandler, though? Is Chandler...
I don't know why you're so down on Chandler. Yes, Chandler is an absolute savage, man. The guy's 38 years old now. What he did in Bellator is freaking amazing. I think he would have beat Conor McGregor, to be honest with you.
You know where I stand on that. Me and you, I vehemently disagree with you, but...
I think the guy's an outstanding combatant. I think Oliveira is very good as well. I think this is a big fight for Charles Oliveira for him to, continue on his track, continue trying to get back to that title. That's a very high-level fight. Another one I'm very excited for. Bo Nickel versus Paul Craig. It's a step up for Bo Nickel. Paul Craig, one of those guys, is a very dangerous guy because of his skill set, especially what he can do on the ground. He's fighting one of the best wrestlers probably to ever be in the UFC here. So it'll be interesting. I think this fight's really going to allow us to see what O'Malley can do with the hands. Not O'Malley. Bo Nickel can do with the hands. We've seen Bo Nickel get finishes. We've seen him make improvements in the striking. But again, to be a complete mixed martial artist, it should be like, a Sean, where he has that strength to strike and the struggles down low. You can have that the other way, where your strength, you're an amazing grappler, wrestler, jiu-jitsu guy, you just can't strike. So, to be a champion, to fight these killers, you have to not be perfect everywhere, but at least be complete, at least be good enough.
Yeah. What do you think about Weidman finding his way onto the main card at his age, at this point in his career?
That's great for Weidman. He's from there. He's from New York. So for him to be able, to be on there. He's fighting Eric Anders. I'm not sure if he's actually on the main card. I see your prelim, could be on the main card, but the people in New York love him. He's a former champion, first guy to really knock out Anderson Silva and all that. So I think it's awesome. Fighting Eric Anders, dude that I've interviewed a few times. He's a tough guy, former Alabama football player under Nick Saban. That should be an interesting contest. Two great warriors.
All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap us up for tonight, Carlo. What do you got coming down the pike? Do you have any interviews you can tell the people about coming up soon?
Yeah, I'm trying to stay as busy as possible with the Dana White Contender Series right now. I'm trying to have some fun with that. I'm trying to get a lot of the contender guys, or as much as I can get my hands on here. Doing a lot of coverage for Game Bread, Bare Knuckle. That's a promotion that I really enjoy covering. I like all those guys. And I have relationships with Jorge Masvidal and Dean Toole, and just got to know them a little bit. And they always let me go out there and do my hobby with them and go out and cover fights and pretend like I'm an actual real journalist or whatever you want to call myself. But I love it. I love them. The fights are awesome. The guys are really cool, and it's pretty cool because a lot of these guys have fought on Game Bread before, and I've started to become a lot of relationships with these dudes. So now it's like I see their name get announced, text message. Oh, we're going to text Weems here. We're going to text Jason Knight, Jay Sherman. Hey, do an interview soon. And it's easier for me to get them, but definitely I'm going to try to. It's up to me. I'm going to interview. Hopefully, I'm trying to interview the whole fight card before the fights. That is my goal. I don't know if I'll get to it. Hopefully I get most of them at least. Probably definitely going to go to Biloxi for that one. I can't miss a Game Bread fight. I'm addicted. I mean, it's just the absolute. I love it. It's so violent. It's so raw. It is the truest form of combat. I mean,
and when is that?
November 15th in Biloxi, Mississippi. Randy Costa, Brandon Davis, main event. Both two former UFC vets. Hey, man, it's going to be freaking nuts. That is going to be an absolute. I wouldn't say it's going to be a dogfight because it is not going the distance. Someone is getting finished in the first or second round. So it'll be interesting.
And last but not least, Carlo, where can people find these awesome interviews? Where can they find you on socials?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to go on to Instagram, two main ones. I have Facebook. I don't really use it much, but when it comes to Instagram, it's Carlo_MMA. And then just Carlo Perruzza on the YouTube one. Just type in Carlo Perruzza on YouTube and all my stuff will come up. See my little mean mug here and all the different interviews. So that'd be your best bet. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe, follow. Appreciate it. Make sure you're subscribed to this one first.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, buddy. And of course, we'll link everything in the description. Like I said, when you're done watching this podcast, go hit Carlo Perruzza MMA. He's got the goods over there. We want to thank you, Fight Doctor. We appreciate you taking some time out. People don't even realize it's 11 o'clock at night. We both got real jobs to get to tomorrow. So I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much for coming on. And I'm sure we'll have you on next month. We'll talk about a little bit more UFC.
Awesome. Thank you, Jared. I appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you, bud.